$1. That is the price of a bag of cayenne pepper at nearly any grocery store in this country. Inside that bag is a chemical compound called capsaicin, and in 2003, researchers at Cornell University published a peer-reviewed study in the journal Pest Management Science that proved capsaicin-treated materials reduced rodent feeding by up to 97%, not 80, not 90, 97%. The United States Environmental Protection Agency registered capsaicin as a biochemical pesticide in 1962. They classified it as non-toxic to humans and other mammals. It breaks down in soil in 2 to 8 days. It does not contaminate groundwater, and it has been used by human civilizations to repel pests for over 7,000 years. So why have you never heard about this from your exterminator? Because you are standing in the shadow of a $26 billion industry, an industry built on recurring service contracts, quarterly visits, and chemical dependency. Industry where Rent-A-Kill brought in $6.8 billion in revenue in 2024 alone, where Rollins, the parent company of Orkin, pulled in $3.4 billion, where the average homeowner now spends between $250 and $600 per year on rodent control services that have to be repeated season after season, year after year. What cannot generate recurring revenue cannot be allowed to spread. Welcome to Buried Knowledge. This is where we crack open the vaults that the outdoor industry desperately locks shut. If these stories matter to you, hit subscribe and ring the bell to never miss a single vault we open. Picture the coast of Peru, 6,000 years before the Common Era, long before the Roman Empire, long before the pyramids of Giza reached their final height. In a small settlement along the western edge of South America, a woman grinds a small red fruit against a stone. The paste burns her fingers. She has learned through generations of inherited knowledge that this paste does something extraordinary. When she coats the inside of a storage vessel with it, the rats stop coming. The grain survives the wet season. Her children eat through the winter. That woman was using capsaicin, and she had no idea she was performing biochemistry. Archaeologists have recovered starch grains from capsicum peppers on milling stones and cooking vessels in southwestern Ecuador, dating back roughly 8,000 years. Chili peppers are among the oldest cultivated crops in the Americas. They were independently domesticated in at least 3 separate locations with zero contact between them: highland Peru and Bolivia, central Mexico, and the Amazon basin. 3 civilizations, thousands of miles apart, with no shared language, no trade routes, no communication, all arrived at the same conclusion. This plant repels pests. By the time the Aztec Empire rose to power, chili peppers were woven into every layer of daily life. Spanish. Conquistadors who arrived in Mesoamerica documented that the Aztecs used chilies not only as food, but specifically to fumigate their homes. The word chili itself comes from the Nahuatl language, the language of the Aztecs. They stored baskets of chilies alongside their grain reserves. They understood that the burning compounds inside these small red fruits kept vermin away from their most precious resource. On the other side of the planet, ancient Chinese warriors wrapped ground cayenne in rice paper and flung it into the faces of their enemies. Japanese ninjas used ground pepper to disable opponents in close combat. During the Tokugawa Empire era, beginning in the early 1600s, Japanese police used a device called the Metsubishi, essentially a box filled with chili pepper, to temporarily blind suspects. These civilizations did not understand the TRPV1 vanilloid receptor, but they could observe the result clearly. Mammals flee from capsaicin. They always have. They always will. Stay with me, because what Cornell University discovered changes everything. In 2003, researchers P.G. Jensen, P.D. Curtis, and their team at Cornell published a landmark field study. They tested capsaicin-treated poultry feed on 4 active farms in New York State during the winter of 1997 and 1998. They used 2 concentrations, 2,000 Scoville heat units and 3,000 Scoville heat units. For reference, a standard cayenne pepper sits between 30,000 and 50,000 Scoville heat units. They were using concentrations far weaker than what you can buy at the grocery store. The results were devastating to the pest control narrative. At all 4 farms, rodent consumption of the 2,000 Scoville diet was significantly lower than the untreated control. Across the board, treated diets saw between 58 and 97% less consumption compared to untreated feed. Let me state that one more time, up to 97% reduction, using a concentration of capsaicin weaker than a mild jalapeno. This study was published in Pest Management Science, a peer-reviewed journal. It was not a blog post. It was not a marketing claim. It was rigorous, controlled, field-tested science, and it did not stop there. In 2017, researchers published results in the journal Biopesticides International showing that pure capsaicin at concentrations as low as 0.01% produced a statistically significant aversive effect in house rats, Ratus ratus, one of the most destructive commensal rodents on the planet. Then, in 2018, ecologists at Brigham Young University, working on ecosystem restoration, coated seeds with capsaicin extracted from Butjolokia, the ghost pepper, which exceeds 1 million Scoville heat units. Deer mice consumed 86% fewer treated seeds compared to untreated ones. When they moved the experiment outdoors to the Missoula Valley in Montana, treated seeds were far more likely to survive and germinate into plants. That research was published in the journal Restoration Ecology. The EPA itself has acknowledged capsaicin as a registered biochemical pesticide since 1962. The National Pesticide Information Center, a cooperative effort between Oregon State University and the EPA, states clearly that capsaicin is used to repel vertebrate pests. It is non-toxic to mammals. It is eco-friendly. It breaks down in soil in 2 to 8 days. And birds cannot even taste it, meaning it does not disrupt the natural food chain. The science is not ambiguous. It is overwhelming. Everything you have seen so far is barely scratching the surface of what was buried. We have assembled over 10 guides in what we call the Complete Forbidden Outdoor Vault: ancient rodent deterrents, forgotten insulation methods, suppressed water purification techniques, DIY pest barriers that cost pennies, natural preservatives the food industry does not want you to find. Over 10 guides, all in one place, no fluff. The link is in the description. But stay right here with me because this video just began. Now let me show you exactly how this was buried. The global pest control market was valued at approximately $27.6 billion in 2025. It is projected to reach over $44 billion by 2034. The major players are Rentokil, which acquired Terminix for $6.7 billion in 2022. Rollins, the parent company of Orkin and Critter Control, BASF, Bayer, FMC Corporation, Syngenta, Anti-Cymex. Their business model depends on one thing: you coming back. The average rodent extermination costs between $200 and $400. That is just the initial visit. Follow-up visits run $50 to $150 each. Annual service contracts cost $400 to $1,200. Severe infestations requiring fumigation can exceed $5,000. And here's the part they never tell you. Rodent infestations recur. A pair of rats can produce over 1,250 descendants in a single year. So you call the exterminator again, and again, and again. Now compare that to $1. A bag of cayenne pepper from the grocery store, 30,000 to 50,000 Scoville heat units. Enough to treat dozens of entry points around your home. No service contract, no quarterly visit, no technician driving a branded truck to your driveway. $1 versus $400 per year for a compound that peer-reviewed science has shown reduces rodent feeding by up to 97%. The industry did not ban cayenne pepper. That would have been too obvious. Instead, they did something far more effective. They marginalized it. They funded studies that used concentrations too low to work, or conditions designed to produce ambiguous results. They ensured that building codes and HOA regulations focused exclusively on licensed chemical treatments. They trained their technicians to dismiss natural remedies as old wives' tales. And they spent billions in marketing to convince you that only a professional with a chemical sprayer can solve your rodent problem. You cannot patent capsaicin. You cannot trademark a cayenne pepper. And what you absolutely cannot control, you have to bury fast. I need to be honest, right here. Because credibility matters more than hype. Cayenne pepper is not a silver bullet that will solve every rodent problem in every situation forever. Here is what it does not do. It does not kill rodents. It repels them. If you have an established colony nesting inside your walls with a reliable food source, sprinkling cayenne pepper at your baseboards alone will not evict them. Rodents are intelligent. They can adapt. They can find alternate routes. And the effectiveness of dry cayenne powder diminishes as the scent fades, typically within a few weeks outdoors unless it is reapplied or protected from weather. What cayenne pepper excels at is prevention and perimeter defense. It is most powerful when combined with exclusion work. That means sealing entry points with steel wool, caulking gaps, and removing food sources. Capsaicin becomes your front line, and physical barriers become your wall. Together, they create a defense system that rivals any professional service at a fraction of the cost. For severe established infestations, you may still need professional trapping to reduce the population first. But once that population is managed, cayenne pepper and proper exclusion can keep them from ever returning. Here is exactly what to do. Go to your grocery store. Buy a 1-pound bag of cayenne pepper. It will cost you between $1 and $3. You want a minimum of 30,000 Scoville heat units, which is standard for any cayenne pepper sold in the spice aisle. If you want more potency, buy cayenne pepper flakes rated at 50,000 or higher. For dry application, identify every potential entry point around your home. Gaps under doors, cracks along baseboards, spaces around pipes where they enter walls, the edges of your garage door. Sprinkle a generous line of cayenne pepper along each of these areas. Mice almost always travel along walls, using their whiskers for guidance. By concentrating your application along baseboards and corners, you intercept their natural pathways. For a spray application, mix 2 tablespoons of cayenne pepper with 1 quart of water and a few drops of dish soap. The soap helps the capsaicin bind to surfaces. Shake well. Pour it into a spray bottle. Apply it around exterior entry points, foundation cracks, and garden perimeters. Reapply every 2 weeks or after heavy rain. For maximum effectiveness, combine cayenne pepper with steel wool plugs in any gap larger than a 1/4 inch. Mice cannot chew through steel wool, and they will not want to go near it when it is coated in capsaicin. A homeowner in upstate New York tested this method along the foundation of a century-old farmhouse after spending over $800 on professional pest control the previous year. She sealed 14 entry points with steel wool, applied cayenne pepper spray bi-weekly around the perimeter, and placed dry cayenne lines along interior baseboards. She reported 0 rodent sightings for 11 consecutive months. Her total cost for materials was under $12 for the entire year. $12 versus $800, for a result that matched or exceeded what the professionals delivered. 7,000 years ago, a woman in Peru ground a red fruit into paste and kept the rats out of her grain. 6,000 years ago, farmers in Mexico cultivated chilies and stored them alongside their most precious food supplies. The Aztecs fumigated their homes with them. Chinese warriors weaponized the burning compound inside them. Japanese police used it to incapacitate suspects. And in 1962, the United States Environmental Protection Agency registered that same compound as an official biochemical pesticide. Cornell University proved it reduces rodent feeding by up to 97%. Brigham Young University showed it cuts seed predation by 86%. The science is settled. The history is undeniable. The evidence is overwhelming. And yet, a $26 billion industry would rather sell you quarterly service contracts and branded chemical sprays than tell you about a $1 bag of cayenne pepper. This knowledge did not disappear. It was buried under billions of dollars of marketing, under branded trucks and licensing fees and technician training programs designed to make you believe you cannot solve this problem yourself. Your great-grandmother knew. And now, so do you. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe and share it. Every share preserves what they tried to erase. The next vault opens soon. What is inside weighs even heavier.